Hello and welcome to Ambergers Smackdown. I'm your host, J. Christoph Amberger, and this week I was planning to affect a heavy southern drawl to appeal to our viewers south of the Mason-Dixon line. Truth be told, it sounded worse than even Hillary Clinton's most recent populist affectation, so I hope you'll understand if I rather stick with the usual. The news sometimes makes me think that Watergate really was not just bad news for President Nixon, but for journalism in general. Eager to follow the footsteps of Woodward and Bernstein, legions of communications and creative writing undergrads have poured into the media with a noble intent to become celebrities by virtue of discovering outrageous evildoing by public officials. As a consequence, running for public office these days takes more than its fair share of intestinal fortitude. You have to deal with an army of busybodies whose divine calling is making sure that you have never cursed, smoked, or consumed more than 2 glasses of light beer at a time. Teachers' pets that check and double-check if you wash your hands, ears, and neck and never forget to floss. And journalistic hall monitors who are disappointed when they can't tattle that you're engaged in thought crime or petty larceny or returned library books a day late when you were 11. Recently, Senator Barack Obama has been getting a dose of this medicine as he's being questioned over suspicious stock investments in companies whose investors included his political donors. All I can see in the report is a bit of naivete in setting up what Obama now calls a quasi-blind trust for the stock purchases. This is the kind of stuff that makes you wonder what exactly a man with his intellect and resources was thinking and who he consulted with when setting up this infrastructure. Was it a trust-in-a-box kit from Barnes & Noble? Unprofessional maybe, but hardly anything that warrants more than a raised eyebrow and a knowing wink. After all, it's not like being a liberal signifies the absence of garden variety self-interest and the need for providing for one's financial future. Despite the public personas they like to project to the gullible, most leading Democrats really do not have a problem making money, keeping it out of reach of the taxman, and speculating with their capital. It's not just George Soros and Ted Turner, mind you. Everyone's doing it. Even permanently rumpled ego-saint Ralph Nader commands a multi-million-dollar stock portfolio and a private trust that at various times has contained sizable shares in funds that are invested in just the oil companies, multinationals, defense contractors, and big pharma companies he preaches against from his consumer advocate soapbox. Michael Moore, self-appointed blue-collar apostle of moral outrage at corporate greed, isn't all that concerned about it when it comes to shoring up his own nest egg. IRS forms detail holdings in Merck, Pfizer, Genzyme, Eli Lilly, Sanoco, Schlumberger, Honeywell, Boeing, and a host of other corporate evildoers. One year he even dabbled in trading Halliburton stock. Oh, the irony. You have to dig a bit to get at the details. Occasionally, questions about the nature of the more adventurous wheelings and dealings will have to be labeled part of a vast right-wing conspiracy. Is it right to call these guys sanctimonious hypocrites? People preaching water and drinking $200 a bottle Chateau Neuf du Pape? People who bewail the 2 Americas from their 120-acre luxury estates? Salon environmentalists who lobby against wind farms that could obstruct the view from their multi-million-dollar beach house on Martha's Vineyard? Or who spend the average annual income of an American family on heating their mansion and pool while calling for additional taxes on the gas working Americans burn to commute to and from work, for the good of the planet, of course. I wouldn't go that far. After all, good old-fashioned greed is probably the one truly bipartisan virtue in Congress and politics in general. In fact, the only danger to society arising from this lack of straightforwardness would be de-emphasizing the need to be proactively involved in the creation of your personal wealth through investing, financial structuring, and financial planning. What's good and advisable to Democrat politicos should be good and advisable for the electorate. Of course, stressing the financial responsibility of the individual may not be quite the message most liberals would espouse publicly. After all, in its terminal logical consequence, it would eliminate the need for the political platform of government-mandated wealth redistribution. Maybe the message we should take home from Obama's troubles should be, don't do as they say, do as they do. For TaipanFinancialNews.com, I'm J. Christoph Amberger, wishing you a profitable week.